I'm going to show you how to use book folding to make this Olympic rings pattern step by step. First, I'm going to go through what to do before you begin, but jump to this part of the video if you want to start folding your design straight away. Step 1 is to select a book. Almost any book will work, but I suggest a hardback book with at least 200 pages. Shorter paperback books can still work with simple designs, so make sure you choose wisely. Step 2. What else do you need? You need a pen or a pencil, scissors, a template, and an optional extra is an origami folding bone. Using one of these means you don't get sore fingers when you're folding all those pages. When I was folding this Bismillah pattern, I used my thumb to fold each of the pages and I wore a groove in my thumbnail. So a folding bone definitely helps. If you'd like to get your own, check out the link in the description. Oh, you also need a glue stick. Don't forget your glue stick. Step 3. Select a suitable paper ruler size. A large collection of paper ruler sizes are included when you download the Origami Rings template, suitable for any book with between 40 and 800 pages. I recommend using books with at least 150 pages. But smaller books can work for very simple designs. Question: why are there 2 numbers associated with each paper ruler? That seems silly. Great question. In any book, page 1 and page 2 are on either side of a single piece of paper. When making book art, we only need to know how many sheets or pieces of paper are in the book. The actual page numbers aren't as important. However, all paper rulers in this pack list both the number of sheets and the page numbers to make it easier to select the right one. Here's an example. The first paper ruler in this picture is for books with 160 pages. The number of sheets in a book is half the number of the pages, so half of 160 is 80. So this paper ruler is for a book with 160 pages or 80 sheets of paper. Either calculation is fine. Does it need to have exactly 160 pages? My book has 162 pages. Another excellent question. Always choose a template that has the same number of pages as your book or less than the number of pages than your book does. There are 2 ways to make this work. The first way, some people might not agree with. If your book has 1 more page than the template, you could rip it out, if you're happy doing that. And then that solves the problem. The other solution is to fold a few extra pages down at the front and back of your book. All paper rulers allow for blank pages at the beginning and the end of the Olympic rings design. This creates a nice border. A 162 page book will have 81 sheets. Simply fold 1 extra page like this at the end of your book, and then the extra page is used up without really being noticeable. If your book has 172 pages, that's 86 sheets altogether. So you'd fold an extra 3 pages at the beginning, like that, and an extra 3 pages at the end. So then the extra 6 pages are used up nicely. For both of those examples, I used the 160 page paper ruler. This will be explained in more detail in step 4. Importantly, most books have a few pages at the beginning and the end that don't have page numbers. You need to include these pages when you are counting the total. For example, the last page number in a book might say 160, and there are 4 pages at the back without page numbers. And maybe there are 2 pages at the front without page numbers. This makes a total of 166 pages, or 83 sheets. Does it really matter if I don't count those extra 6 pages? What was that? A monster! Help, I'm under attack! Does it really matter? No, not really. But it might result in your book having more folded pages at the end. More like this. Which would make the design look a bit squonky. It's not that big of a deal, but it would annoy me, because I'm very fussy. Step number 4. Time to start folding the pages. This book had 200 pages, so I've selected the paper ruler that goes up to 100 on the end for 100 sheets or 200 pages. For this book folding technique, all of the pages are folded like this before you cut them. I normally fold about 1/3 of the page in. The exact amount doesn't matter, as long as you fold every page in the same amount. And here's how I ensure that every page is folded in the same amount. Look at the page that you just folded and draw a little line on the book next to where the corner sits. Right there, you can see my little line. Then use a ruler to draw a line at the same point on every other page, just up and down the end of the book. This line shows where you need to fold every other page in too. So when I'm folding the page in, I fold it to the line, and then I just flatten this bit, and it's in the right place every time. This line was on the bottom, so when it's displayed, you can't even see it. However, if you want to, you can also put one on the top, and by the time you're finished, it's not really noticeable. Step 5. Choose how you would like your Olympic rings design to sit. Move your template up and down until the rings are at the right height within the book. I want the rings to be about the middle, so there's a good spot. There. So I've got my rings lined up in the middle, and all I do then, I crease where the book page meets the template. I'm just creasing where the edge of the page sits on the template. And this is much easier if you do it on a table. So this crease shows me how high the template should sit on each page. So I'm just going to fold that down properly now. Make sure the corner matches with the side of the page, so that's all nice and flat. And again, folding with the table works better than what I'm doing. So now you can see, using the guidelines on the template, that it's an even fold all the way across. That's exactly what we want. Oh, and by the way, if you'd like to get your own Olympic Rings book folding template, as well as all of the paper rulers and the inner cover designs, check out my Etsy store and you can get one for less than the price of a Starbucks coffee. Links are in the description. Step 6. Fold the first few blank template pages. All of the paper rulers for this Olympic Rings template design allow for the first few pages and the last few pages to only be folded. So these ones here, only folded, not cut. And at the end, these ones here, only folded, not cut. This creates a nice border at the beginning and end of the book. The paper ruler that I used when I was making this book left the first 5 pages and the last 5 pages blank. But paper rulers with a higher page number will leave more blank pages at the beginning and at the end. How do you find out how many blank pages are in the paper ruler length that you've chosen? Well, let me tell you. Once you've glued your paper ruler onto the template, this line shows you exactly how many pages need to only be folded without being cut. With a 100 sheet paper ruler, there's about 5 blank pages for this Olympic Rings design. Step number 7. Start cutting the Olympic Rings design. After folding in the blank pages that just make up the border, fold in one more page, just like the other ones. But this will be the first page that we start to cut. Use the fold in the template to line it up perfectly on the book. So you can see here the template's folded over the page, and the template is sitting under the page that I want to work on. Like that. Make sure it sits straight, so it's not poking up like that. Straight on the page. Move the template to the left until the left edge of the Olympic ring is touching the page that you're going to cut. We can see here the Olympic ring is just starting to touch the page I'm working on. That's the perfect space. I forgot to glue my paper ruler down. I'm going to do that now. Better. I've slid it up to where that line disappears, and you can see the rings are just touching the page that I want to work on. Using a pen, draw a line where the page touches the top edge of the Olympic ring and the bottom edge of the Olympic ring. Now use scissors to cut a straight line across each of these pen marks. Importantly, You only need to cut as far as this page is folded over. So I've only cut down this far. You don't need to cut the whole page. That would be too far. There should now be 2 straight lines cut into the page, which leaves a little flap in the center. This flap needs to be pushed in. This is the process that makes the whole Olympic rings picture, page by page. How far do I push the flaps in then? Another good question. It's up to you, but consider the following. You want the flap to be pushed in far enough to make the design visible, but not too far, as this will make any thin or pointy parts of the design too unstable. For designs with small pointy bits, like the Olympic rings, about 1 centimetre seems to be the sweet spot. You can see here, I've pushed the flap in just less than 1 centimetre. For less complex designs like a heart, the flaps can be pushed in further. After folding the first flap, I like to cut a little piece of paper or a card to the exact size between the end of the flap and the spine of the book. I put this on every page so I know exactly how far to fold in the flaps for the rest of the book. Step number 8 is to check the paper ruler. Before moving on to the next page, put a little mark on the paper ruler line that you just used. I like to do that at the same time as I'm marking the templates in step 7. This is very, very important. If you forget to mark the part that you just did, you might accidentally do the same part again. Step 9, repeat the processes in steps 7 and 8, ensuring that you begin each page by folding it in. Align the template under the page that you're working on and make sure that it's straight. Move to the next blank mark on the paper ruler. That's the one you need to do next. Mark the relevant parts of the Olympic ring design onto your page and then mark that part of the paper ruler. Cut along these lines and fold in the flaps to a consistent distance. That's kind of fun to say. Consistent distance, consistent distance, consistent distance, consistent distance. Step number 10. 2 flaps on a page? Why would I need to do 2 flaps on one page? Let me show you. After folding and cutting a few pages, you'll notice that the blue Olympic ring splits into a top part and a bottom part, which are no longer joined in the middle at this part of the design. The solution to this is to cut 2 separate flaps, one up here and one down here. Each flap is done in the same way as the ones you did at the start. Some sections of the Olympic rings will have up to 4 flaps on each page, 2 for the blue and 2 for the yellow. The next step is to smash the like button. Step 11 is to cut off a piece of your template. Why would you want to cut up such a wonderful looking template? A fair question, but here's why. As you get towards the end of the blue Olympic ring, a large amount of the template is being pushed into the book. This makes it hard to get the template into the right place. So the solution is just to chop off any bits that you've already used, and then it should be much easier. Step 12. Feel free to adjust the template if necessary. I noticed that the overlapping parts of the rings seemed to be too thin, so I drew some extra lines on there to make the spaces bigger. But don't worry, I've made the spaces bigger on this version of the template, but if you want to change anything else, go for it. This is your book art project. You can do what you want. Step 13 is to take a break. Book folding takes a long time, usually at least a few hours. Be sure to take a break as needed and come back to your creation with fresh eyes. Number 14, the victory lap. At the very end of your design, once you finish the Olympic rings, there are just a few pages that only need to be cut. These pages make the border at the end of the Olympic rings. I call the folding of these last few pages the victory lap because it's right at the end and it's a fun and fast part of the process. Step 15, you're finished. Congratulations. You have completed your own Olympic rings book folding project. Now's a great time to show off your book folding. I'd love to see it too. So make sure you upload a photo to Instagram using the hashtag #EssentialOrigami. Finally, I'd like to thank you very much for sticking with this tutorial. This was a long one, so thank you for still watching. I'd love to hear any feedback or thoughts about this video or the book folding process. Is there anything that I can do to improve it? Was everything explained in a simple and easy way? Does this video actually help? Any feedback at all is very much welcomed, so please leave it in the comments. You can also find more book folding tips and tutorials on my channel. Subscribe if you'd like to catch the next one.
This video here is a much shorter version of this tutorial. I get through the whole thing in 58 seconds, but with a bit less detail. If you'd like to see exactly how long this one took me to make, check out this video here.
Remember, origami is essential. Enjoy your book art, and I look forward to working with you again.
Bye for now.
Does it really matter? No, not really. Oi! What? Flying teddy bears? Ah.